Algorand for me is still a gas token, a network token, and looking at the euro, all these things. I just feel like the US doesn't really truly have a problem with Algorand. It's one of those things like we're not even looking at y'all because we're worried about Bitcoin
Yeah. That's
and
what I'm
and
saying.
then
It
the
was like it literally
exchanges.
was like a drive by, like just, list
Yeah,
some tokens that look like they could be securities to really put our foot, to really show that we're not messing around. But, it's not like they're really going in depth saying why each of these tokens. Although I will say, I think they did say a lot about Cardano, but even at the end of the day, I mean, a lot of people tout that Cardano is more decentralized as far as
yeah,
like its initial, supply being sent out than most other cryptos. So it'll be
yeah,
very interesting to see how a lot of this, lawsuits with Kraken, Bittrex, all this stuff ends up playing out. And, like you said at the beginning of the show, the DOJ really came, guns, ready to say, hey,
yeah,
DeFi, hey, if you're working with U.S. citizens and everything, we are coming for you. And that, when I was talking to Tony from Thinking Crypto earlier, like that was what I'm most afraid of. Like I think overall, even if in the short term, right, we see some bearish price action, I think long term over the next 6 to 8 months, it's going to be bullish for, with the spot Bitcoin ETF and with a lot of other things.
yeah,
But I do worry about a lot of the projects that are currently, in DeFi on various chains, and maybe in their terms and conditions, they say, hey, no U.S. citizens, but they're not really blocking U.S. citizens from interacting with their platform. Like they're still allowing that stuff to happen. And so that does
yeah,
worry me to an extent.
yeah. Yeah, and like I said, I mentioned offline too, but some of the experience with like the Cosmos ecosystem is half those apps I can't use them in the US.
Yeah.
So for me, I see that as positive that they're like, nope, y'all can't use it. You can't get this
Yeah, but I
airdrop.
think of look
We're
at
blocking y'all.
Algorand's. You got Folks Finance, you got Messina.
Yeah.
There's so many platforms out here that are allowed. I mean, I would assume
Well,
there are
folks swap.
plenty.
I tried to do the ultra swap. We're not allowed to use ultra swap.
Okay. So,
So
so it's very interesting, right?
yeah,
I think it's still a very gray area, and that's where that's like that's my fear is
mhm,
how swift and how hard is the DOJ and the government going to come down on a lot of DeFi, because we saw what happened to AlgoFi, right? They were like, nope,
nope.
we're in New Jersey
Well,
or
question
wherever,
for you:
they're out.
when is a government.defi coming?
Right, right. I mean, I, I
Would you
also
use
mentioned
it?
right. I also mentioned this that I feel like with the spot Bitcoin ETF getting approved, right, with Coinbase and with the likes of the giant U.S. conglomerates, they're going to bring in everybody who's not currently in crypto, right? They're going to bring that
Yep.
money in to a small. It'll start off small allocations, but more people will get used to crypto
Yep.
through a centralized way through Coinbase. They'll act as a bank account, right? People will be able to hold Bitcoin in their actual bank account, right? In
Yep.
your credit union, your bank. You may even be able to send it and pay for it. But I get, give it 5, 10 years. That's when you're going to see the shift start to happen where people are like, but if, say I'm depositing my Bitcoin in, USAA or in, Fifth Third Bank or whatever your bank is close to you, and they're paying you 2%, right, on your Bitcoin deposits. But then you see on DeFi, that's still going to be out there and still going to be
Yep.
growing, that you could be depositing your Bitcoin and earning 6%, or attaching it to in a pool with Bitcoin USDC and earning 20% or something like that. That's when I think you're going to see the big shift come and the real attack that the powers that be are going to have to fight, because at that point people are going to start to really want to self custody their assets once they get more used to how to navigate the whole entire crypto space. But right now it's just
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. I think, yeah, with that point, I think it's always going to be a twofold world. You
Hmm.
got the better, like a better term, the 9 to 5ers, right?
Yeah.
9 to 5ers don't feel comfortable holding anything but some money in their bank account.
Yeah.
Let the experts hold everything else. Then you got, the traders, people that trade options, who do their own brokerage account investing. That's the crypto people, is the same type of people. So I feel like it will be, a small sect of society, maybe
Yeah.
20% or so, that's like, we're going to hold our own stuff. And that doesn't put fear in the government when you got 80% who give them the
Yeah.
401k Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So, and then you do the Lightning Network where they can move it seamlessly. So Bitcoin appears to be
Fast.
faster, but it's all in
Hmm.
the government vaults. And I'm not, again, I'm not opposed to that. I want the government should just let us crypto is how we want. And that's what I truly want. And I
That
know they want to control it.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, that's where I feel like you're going to see this major wealth gap in the future is the people who
Yes.
did self custody and did learn this stuff ahead of time and get ready, they're going to be some of the wealthiest people in the world, and the people who
Hopefully,
didn't
let's go.
are gonna be the ones stuck on Fed now and dealing with CBDCs and
Yeah.
fighting, the ability to not save your money. Or because here's the thing, like what this introduces at some point is going to be negative interest rates. Like it's
Mhm.
coming, like it's already in
Yep.
certain countries. I think Germany, has had negative interest rates at times, but like you're going to have it to where if you're holding this programmable CBDC money in your bank account, if it's there, it's losing value. They want you to spend it. They don't want you to save it. They don't want you to
Yep.
invest it. And so that's why, get, start learning today is what I would say. Not saying
Yeah.
just go ape into random projects and think they're going to moon, but actually looking at what, the things that are building. And that's still my hope for Algorand is that not that it gets used for a CBDC, but that a lot of companies rely on its technology and the great things that people like John Allen Woods, Gary Maloof are building.
Shout out
Uh,
to John and Gary.
yeah, that those things are going to be needed, and side chains, co-chains, whatever you want to call it, are going to be built for private companies and things like that.
Well, looking at Hesba Pay, right? It's a good
Hmm.
example. That's the Afghan payment processor. It's kind of like a Cash App type thing for them. But what that means is every single wallet and account that get created, at least on the back end, needs some type of algos. And then when we scale up that, a million businesses are doing something similar throughout the globe, then that lets everyone, at least on the business professional side, have to hold them. And then you get the speculators who then would want to buy them. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. But
Yeah.
looking at apps like Fed Down, Cash App, all of that, we got used to Cash App. We
Hmm.
love those apps, and Venmo. I use Venmo.
Hmm.
But would I
Yeah, we
also
use
use a
Venmo all the
blockchain
time.
version? I use Venmo all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a blockchain version where we'll be comfortable with that, but the user won't really care anyway. They're going to be doing the same thing they've been doing, but we're going to, call it the digital dollar or whatever
Yeah.
they want to call it. And then that's how you run up the prices. Because I do see this, the government, especially US government, there's very few entities that are actually government entities. So they
Mm.
need what's it called? NGOs, non-government organizations to partner with.
Yeah.
And that's where I think these businesses that are utilizing digital ledger technology will come into play. And hopefully that's Algorand is one of those players.
Yeah.